Alright, welcome back to the flight deck. We've got the Caribou up and running. It's time to taxi out and get her set and ready for takeoff. Most of it's already done, but let's hop on board and we can spin around, head down to the end of the runway, and get ready to go on this beautiful morning in Golden, British Columbia. Alright, so we are ready to taxi. We're going to go manual brakes. There we go, make sure they're off. We're going to make sure our RPMs are at about 1,000, and we're now going to bring our propellers fully forward and get them ready to go. Flaps are already at 15. You can get our view at the front, and we'll release the brakes. She has a fairly tight turning circle, especially if you use differential thrust on the props. Go nice and tight there. So as we come up to the runway, we're going to turn on the landing lights. Come on, there we go. We have two settings for the lights up top. We have no proper strobes either, just as a FYI. We have two sets of lights, infrared and white. This has military use in operations where they would fly without any visible lighting. They have infrared markers on that can be used to illuminate the tail and the wingtips of the aircraft, which is actually pretty cool and interesting to see. I've been in helicopters when they've been flying at night, no lights on, and had night vision goggles on and been able to see the markers, so it is pretty cool. Alright, so we're going to move down here. A couple interesting things to note as we taxi down. Our airspeed is basically 0, 100, 200, 300, 400 with a needle to indicate where between the hundreds it is. But there's also the slip dial in the center here that will slowly turn 10, 20, 30, 40 and all that up. So you can see if you're just over 100 and this says 10, you're at 110. Quick little references there. It is pretty neat. So this is the radar altimeter. We'll set 200. I'll go 300 feet for our warnings. So here we are coming to the end. And we'll pull in here and do a turn. Get ourselves ready to go. Again, you want to try to keep the engines up at 1,000 RPM just so they don't bog down and foul. As you can see, she's got a very tight turning radius with that nose wheel basically right on the nose of the aircraft. All right. So for takeoff, with the propellers fully forward, we're going to go up to about 40 inches, and then we'll come back to climb. We'll come down to 35 inches and about 2200 RPM for our climb. So everything is good. Landing lights are on, taxi lights are on, flaps are set to 15. Runway is identified, and we are good to go. So we'll start to bring the power up. Aircraft is starting to roll. We'll do about a 5-second count. This is not a turboprop, it is a radial cylinder engine. So you want to come onto the power slowly. Oh, the other thing you want to do, which I completely forgot, gust lock. It does have one. There we go, right there. All right, bring the power up. And 40 inches. Airspeed's alive. There's 40, 50. She's going to rotate about 60, 65. You'll be able to start pulling back. There's 65, little back pressure. Nose up, a little wheel chirp, and we're up at about 72. So we're going to try to get her to about 90 for the climb out. Get up over the trees. So there's positive rate, gear coming up. And the back door is still open. So what we can do quickly is come around and we will get that door closed in the back. And we'll start trimming for about 90. And we go flaps up. Trying to trim out, turn off the power to the doors. And she will climb fairly tall. Alright, so we're going to come back to about 2200 RPM, about 35 inches on the power. There we go. See us climbing out of the valley here. She does tend to roll a little bit as well, something to bear in mind. Now, she is not a fast airplane, nor is she a high performance airplane. But she will get there eventually. So we're going to make it up over these mountains. Again, we want to be heading in a southwest direction eventually. Peak's around 12,000 feet here. So we're just going to continue up the valley, climbing out as we go. Try to bring her back to about 1,000 feet per minute. And again, great views all around as we look around in the aircraft. Alright, let's see if we can get her kind of heading out in this direction. And we're holding that speed at about 110. DC generators are all on. Fuel is looking good. Our fuel quantity is right there. We still have the full mixture as we are in climb mode. So we want that extra fuel to help cool the engine. Let's get that power up to 35 and those props back down to 22. Cruising is going to be 30-20 when we get up there. And there's 5,000 feet. One thing we do not have in here are blowers. And that limits our altitude. Normal cruise for this aircraft is between 9,000 and 11,000 feet. Which is great. However, when you got hills a little bit higher than that, you have to do a little bit of creative flight. So we take a look at the airplane. Landing lights are still on as we climb out of the valley here, just to make sure we're very visible. Taxi light is on. You can see it's here on the nose. So we'll be shutting those off in a second. You can see to the cockpit. Again, great visibility out this kind of greenhouse canopy here. And you can see how it's raised up above the main back deck. There's the big engines, and then there's your ramp. And we're looking good. So we're going to come up now. We'll shut off all the front lights, and you can see the infrared options are down below. So as we climb up, let's talk about when we get to landing. We are looking here. This is a great gauge. So this kind of gives you your landing. If your aircraft weight is all the way up to 2,600 pounds, you basically want this arrow sitting on the diamond as your airspeed. It'll tell you too slow, too fast, and it's a great little visual. And when you're coming in, if you want to get that view up where you can still kind of see where the needle should be. If your weight's up at the top end at 2850, it gives you a little bit faster speed with the diamond up here, but still you can kind of make out where it should be almost up and down. The other one on a bit of a 11 o'clock. So very good indicators for your speed as you're coming into land. And again, you don't have to bring this thing down early. She will slow down and descend at a good speed, especially once you put the propellers forward. Alright, so we're still climbing out. We're going to bring that power up again to 35. There's 7,000 feet. See the mountains there. Kind of hard to get through the mountains here without going all the way up, because she is the valleys that we're in, such as the one here, are all kind of north-south valleys, and we want to travel east to west, so it becomes a bit of altitude clearance crossing as we go. In fact, if we look at the peaks off to our left and we try to get some height data, we are looking at 8,000 feet. We're not even high enough yet to cross over them, as you can see. Well, we're going to keep climbing, keep that power on. We've got a little bit room to go. For the mixture, if we cycle over and take a look up, we can see we have a auto rich, which you're in now, and we have an auto lean where we can pull back and bring them back there. So then there's no indent where they click in, but we can get them to lean out, so our fuel flow is a lot better for a cruise. So then when we get to 9,000 feet, we are going to make our turn to the west or southwest and start heading down towards Kelowna. Again, one of the benefits of flying out of these valleys is you sometimes got to extend quite the ways up the valley. So weather in Kelowna currently is winds are they were kind of they're east and variable, back and forth, not that strong, a couple knots. So we're going to be landing on runway 16, which means we'll come down the valley from the north, which is fine. Alright, so let's start turning up this way here. As we hit 9,000 feet, we're going for 10, and then we'll see what happens. Keep that climb going. We'll go this way a little bit more. And we'll head down here, which should give us our our altitude that we need. And we're basically going to be flying over the tops of the mountains here. Sorry about that, a little bit phlegmy this morning. Out walking the dog, and it's rather humid out. Alright, so we're at 100 knots. There's 10,000 feet coming up. So I think with some judicial monitoring of the hills, we should be okay. Zoom in here. What are we looking at? These peaks. Yeah, we should be alright. Alright, we're going to head down towards Golden, so we want about a 215 degree heading. Or not Golden, Kelowna. We took off out of Golden. Somewhere around there. And this is a lot of map and compass work. We're going to try to get her up to 11,000. We'll bring her. See, we're heading out this way now. So 11,000 feet will level. And there's the valley we climbed out of. So why am I doing this aircraft? Well, we've got a series coming up in a little while. Not sure exactly when, but it's going to run on Saturdays. And we're going to be flying in some remote areas, doing some cargo operations. So that series will take us to another part of the world we haven't really been to. A lot of valleys, mountaintops, higher elevations. So we need an aircraft that's kind of built to do it. And the DeHavilland Canada Caribou, the DHC-4, is that aircraft. It's an old, reliable aircraft. It's used by the military. It's used by civilian contractors. And we're going to use it for that series. Alright, so throttles are now fully forward. We're only getting about 33 inches on them. 11,000 feet, we're going to go into cruise mode, level her out, and we'll set cruise power, which we only need 30 inches for, so we're still within our envelope. And again, there's no superchargers or boost on these. So we'll just have to make do with what we have. So we're going to slowly work our way up to 11,000 as mentioned, and then we'll be good to go. There's the next valley over. Of course, we're flying through the Canadian Rockies. Which makes it a very interesting place. So one thing I can do is try to get the VOR we're kind of sort of heading for. It is the Enderby VOR. And it's 115.2. Just double check that. Yeah, 115.2. So once we're in cruise, we'll go down, we'll bring up the nav, we'll see if we can pick it up on the pathing. That's our GPS routing. You can tune it in so that it has all the stuff here, but there is no autopilot to follow it along with. It's just all visual guidance. Alright, so we have about 140 feet to go. So you can picture these aircraft being used for search and rescue. Have rescue jumpers in the back, able to jump out with supplies and medical equipment and all that. And it looks like we're kind of maxing out in our altitude, so we're going to keep her level, see if we can get that speed to build up here. So we're going to bring the propellers back to 20 inches. And we'll bring the power back to 30. And we're going to come over here. Just see the marking for auto lean, and we'll bring the mixtures back to auto lean. Get that nose down and get that speed coming up. There's 11,000. Just pushing that trim forward. A little bit bumpy up here, a little bit turbulent. So trying to trim her out. All right, so we're in cruise, we're set up, we're trimmed, pretty much trimmed out. We'll keep playing with that as we get bumped around a little bit. We'll get our airspeed up. We'll be back when we get closer to our descent, and we'll get that all set up. But before we do, we're going to pop in 115.2 on the nav. So let's hop in there. There's the GPS. And there's our nav. So 115.2. So that is now set, 115.2. And hopefully, eventually one of these will kick in. There's VOR1 once we get closer, and we'll be able to see what's going on. So thanks again for joining us here. We will be back for our descent and landing into Kelowna, BC. So enjoy the views of the mountains as we leave you here. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.